You're inside the press box. Christian FM Sports presents Inside the Press Box, where we discuss all sports from our favorite high school team to college and pro. Here's your hosts, Paul Tipton and Gary Paris.
Well. One game under our belts for week 0, a 41-0 win over Palm Beach Gardens in the Kickoff Classic. And now we turn our attention to week 1. Hey, Vero Nation, Paul Tipton, Gary Paris. Thanks for joining us inside the press box as we get set for the regular season. And it is Eau Gallie that we will turn our attention to. But before we talk about the Commodores and opening the season on the road, GP, let's talk about that Kickoff Classic game this past Friday night at the Citrus Bowl. First and foremost, what a turnout by Vero Nation.
That was great. I mean, the home side was completely filled, and there was a few hundred more people over on the under our booth where we're, and there wasn't a great turnout for Palm Beach Gardens people, but a lot of people from Vero Beach were excited about coming to the game and watching it and seeing the new team. This is the 2024 Fighting Indians, and that was exciting to see them and the excitement they got over there watching this young team play.
Well, and we saw a lot of people obviously watching on our YouTube channel, listening by radio as well. Appreciate the support as always. Hey, by the way, do us a couple of favors. If you happen to go to the YouTube channel, do a couple things. One, hit the subscribe button. Secondly, we're now adding in a membership because eventually what we're going to do is the live broadcast will still be available to you. But if you want to watch it later, you got to be part of the membership in order to see that. So make sure you take care of that. Join on the membership. Be a part of the tribe, okay? Vero Nation in full force. All right. That's at Vero Nation Network on YouTube. On YouTube. All right, Gary. So the Palm Beach Garden game, there were a lot of question marks, obviously, because we didn't know exactly, other than, some of the guys coming back, what was the team really going to look like? And, of course, we knew for sure we were going to have a brand new quarterback, one way or the other, because Tyler Aronson graduated. We had a new starting quarterback. Freshman Champ Mons got his first start. What was your evaluation of the young man?
Well, it was I didn't set the bar really high at this stage of his career. You know what I mean? He's just a freshman walking out into the ball field. Mm-hmm. I know he's been trained his whole life to be to be this type of atmosphere. The guy was super in his travel ball tournament during his career. Mm-hmm. He was super in the 7-on-7s throughout the state of Florida. And you're like, okay, now what's he going to be like now? Well, I kept telling myself, remember, he's a freshman. And so, don't get the bar so high up there that you're like, oh, wow, well, I'll tell you what he did. He totally impressed me more. The young man was cool, calm, and collective.
Yeah, he was.
There was a lot of, one thing they got to work on is the snaps. I mean, we had bad snaps, and anytime you have a bad snap, that's when the timing is like, you're the center, and you're watching down there. Now, when he claps his hands, that doesn't mean the ball has to be snapped in. It's at your discretion. In other words, you're looking down and seeing it, reading the coverage, and you see you got some time left on the clock. You may hold it 1 or 2 seconds, then snap it. The problem was, that's okay. The problem was they were pressuring, and they got several offsides penalties because they broke the plane, and part of that was to put pressure on the young quarterback. The center got a little anxious a couple times, and when you start to tighten that ball a little bit, when you throw it back, it doesn't exactly go where you want it to go. And we saw several of those. But Champ Mons, he just picked it up, scooped it up, did the best he could. His running ability, wow. He showed me that he's cool, calm, and collective there. He picked the ball up, looked downfield. If nobody's there, he took off and ran, got first downs, and got good, valuable yardage. He was cool. He was really calm at those situations. He didn't panic. He had his eyes downfield, and a good snap will allow you to get the ball, then immediately go read your key. The individual you're reading. And when there was a good snap, man, he had a good job. He did a great job. There was 4 drop passes, too, in this game. He was like 14 of 24, okay? He had 4 drop balls. Mm-hmm. He had a terrible missed call where he threw the ball to Stinson on a wide receiver down, and the defender just grabbed him because he didn't want him to catch the ball and pulled him to the ground.
He tackled him.
And the official didn't get it, didn't see it.
Yep.
And there was no feet tangled up on that one. That one was just that's a good old mugging in the park.
Yeah.
And so you take away that play as an incompletion and all, and you take away the drop balls, and then you take away some of the bad snaps that he had to hurry a throw.
Yep.
This guy could have easily have been 18 or 19 for 24.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Totally.
But that's just, the game was played. He lived. He did an outstanding job. His ability to escape. So, my bar now is a little bit higher, and I keep telling myself, still a freshman, but he surely didn't look like one out there on Friday night, Paul.
Yeah, no, he looked impressive. I agree with you. Look, I mean, that's one of the reasons why you have a preseason game is because, okay, in practice, certain things like, a quarterback's usually not going to get tackled, those kind of things. Okay, there's not as much pressure or intensity in practice as you have in an actual game. So, like for the center, for instance, okay, he knows now these guys are coming, and I got to get this ball back there. Okay, they got to work those kinks out, and then they will. I know they will. I got no problem worrying about that, but you're right. Part of the challenge with that is quarterback takes his eyes off the field and has to figure out where the ball is. So now there's that one, anywhere from half a second to maybe a full second where his eyes are not looking on the field. Well,
I was impressed with the pressure that Palm Beach Gardens was attempting to put on him. Mm-hmm. They knew he's a freshman. They were going to come in with blitzes, delayed blitzes and all.
Sure.
And his ability to pick those things up and read those things. And they had, in that first half, I'm going to say anywhere between 80 and 90 yards of penalties, maybe even close to 100.
Yeah, it was a lot.
And they were kept shooting themselves in the foot. But you got to give credit to your team, your offense. They did a good job of getting them into that position, and the defense did a good job in their job too. But going back to the offense, the good thing about it, Paul, it's a preseason game. A lot of people got to play. We had 9 different receivers catch a ball.
That's impressive.
A couple running backs. You had your wide receivers that caught the ball. 7 of 6 or 7 of those guys caught the ball. It was exciting to see the number of people that got involved in the kickoff classic.
Yeah.
Offensive line, they switched centers trying to find a combination.
Right.
And they switched the guards around to see to get some combinations in there. You got 2 good bookends. Romeo Vargas is at left tackle just did a solid job. Then you got Champ Smith at right tackle, who's 6'6", 305 pounds, and he's only a junior. And
some of those blocks he made were incredible the other night.
I mean, it was. But what they've got to do is get the center and the guards on tune with each other. There wasn't the blocking assignments. It was just the timing.
Yeah, I agree. And again, this is why you try to have a preseason game. Because it's one thing, again, in practice, you got time, you can work through stuff, and that's great. But when you're in the moment like that, and now all of a sudden it's like for the kids, it's like it's the reality check.
Well, here's the stat that I loved.
Okay.
You had 8 total drives.
Yep.
5 of them were touchdowns.
It's pretty good.
5 were touchdowns. Mm-hmm. 3 for 3 in the red zone. You get in the red zone, you want to score. We punted just 3 times in the game.
Yep.
So kudos to Lenny Jankowski and his offense. They did that's what they only had 42 plays. Okay? Of the 42, they averaged 6.4 yards a play.
It's pretty good.
That's pretty
That's
daggum
pretty
good, man.
Yeah.
I mean, overall, with two quarterbacks, Landon Kaler will also got a chance to play.
Yeah.
And between the two of them, they completed 17 of 27 passes for 63%.
Mm-hmm.
So not bad, not a bad day.
Yeah, I think the only thing that I was a little surprised at talking about quarterbacks is that, we didn't see E.J. White take any snaps at quarterback.
I think part of that was, you remember he took a shot.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, true.
And he got his wind knocked out of him,
Yeah.
he came up limping a little bit.
Right.
And I think that may have had something to do with his not finishing.
Could be.
Doing a series, because I don't think they wanted him to take another hit at that time.
Yeah.
I don't even know if I think he got back in the game for
he did.
but that was my thinking, was that he took that shot, and they're going to say, okay, coach is going to say, well, let's just let Kaler wrap this up and clean it up, or get a chance to play.
Well, defensively, Gary, we pitched a shutout, and boy, it was a little interesting near the end of that ball game whether or not we were going to keep a shutout or not. It got pretty close there for a little bit, but how about this? The defense forced 4 punts, 3 turnovers, 1 turnover on downs, and then, of course, there was the last possession of the night where the time expired. But, man, defense was flying to that was my first impression. They were flying to the ball. Everywhere you saw at least 6, 7 red jerseys to the ball.
Well, I'm going to tell you right now, R.J. Jones, Alford. I mean, you're talking about with TJ and RJ and EJ. You got the combination of EJ White out there on the outside, playing, and you got it was, and Rivers, Afion Rivers.
He's amazing.
I mean, he's amazing. He is all over the place. He and Alford literally can ruin a side bad, but make a play look great and make the offense look awful bad.
Mm-hmm.
And you got to look back and think. And again, I'm not going to raise the bar any higher than I've already got the bar set pretty good on the defense, because I think they're going to be good.
Mm-hmm.
I think this may be one of the best defenses we've had in a long, long time, with the athleticism that's out there. And, I saw the front line, under Deuce Montgomery and Bobby Burbick on, and that those guys crushing.
Tristan Davis.
And boy, Tristan is so fast coming off that. So is Bobby.
Yeah.
So the potential, there's so much there. I thought our defense and the potential for having a good year with them, as long as everybody stays healthy, it's going to be outstanding. I thought Bill Mata called a great game as the defensive coordinator, coordinating. Didn't have to do a lot of blitzing. Didn't have to do a lot of because your athleticism of your team and just having the intimidation of Alford and coming up at you, walking up at you. And
he was all over the field again. I mean, you just come to expect it, but it's still amazing to watch.
And then you turn around, and you watch number one. Number one is RJ. He controlled that on that. Anytime something came to his side, and it was a run, or if they did a sweep or a pass, man, he was there to hit. He was the great. He had, to me, you see, we only got to see him at the end of last year because he was hurt. Boy, he was healthy, and he looked good. He looked good.
He did. And how about, we've got some other guys that, that were in there, that, especially like we had the one transfer, Amir Shabazz. I mean, he had a really good game.
He was having fun out there, almost to the point. It was
close. It was borderline.
Almost got us penalized because he was happy. He was excited. He's playing on a great team, and he's out there on the defense, and he's great. Made some great tackles, open field tackles out there. And he got excited. He didn't get a penalty, but he got excited. And I know Coach Jay and Coach Mata especially, because he's, no, your talent is you tackle, you get up, and you walk back to your huddle.
Yeah.
Don't stand around. Don't do the dancing or anything like that. But the young man was excited, and he should be. That was a good defense.
Yes.
They played well.
They did. And of
it's
course,
a shutout.
It was a shutout. I mean, again, you had 3 turnovers, and one of those was a pick six. Brian Carter, 77-yard return. And I mean, it was just like he was shot out of a cannon. He jumped on that route so fast.
Just shows you his athleticism, Paul, as a defender and what he's learned under Coach Bill Mata to be in position. It's all about being in the right position. Mm-hmm. If you go to where you're supposed to, read your reads, and then you look back and he saw that quarterback wind up and was letting go of that pass to that running back coming out of the backfield down the side. He jumped that pass, and I mean, he jumped it. It was
oh my gosh!
And if you're the quarterback, you got to say, where did he come from?
Right.
Where did he come from? And all of a sudden, bam, 77 yards, 3 turnovers, 3 interceptions in 3 straight series.
Yes.
And 1 for a pick six.
Yeah.
That's you look at it and you go, wow, let's stay healthy. Let's stay healthy. Mm-hmm. This could be a very good team as we mature. Now, they better start maturing right away, though, because they got a tough schedule coming up, too.
So let me ask you this, because this is probably the question that, when you come out of a game like this, I mean, going into the game, we're like going, all right, Palm Beach Gardens, traditionally a good team. Was this a good Gardens team and a much better Vero defense team? Where do we sit right now?
I don't think this is anywhere near as good as they were last year. Mm-hmm. They lost 8 starters on seniors on their defense.
Yep.
They lost about 7 or so on the offense, and seniors and they had a couple kids transfer away.
Yeah.
I don't think they replaced those kids. They had a quarterback last year. You and I talked about Kenyon Stevens. Who was one of the top players mm-hmm. in Palm Beach County.
Right. He
was chosen to be on the all-county team as a quarterback, and he wasn't there. They were trying to bring in Jackson, who was Johnson, who was a sophomore, and he had his struggles against that defense, and but he showed some potential mm-hmm. at times. And no, it's not. It was they got a chance to play everybody on defense.
Yeah.
I mean, it was hard for us to keep up with the roster of the people out there because they kept coming in. So what do you take away from it? You did what you had to do. Mm-hmm. You won the game. You did you know how you put on a board and you may say, okay, we want win. Okay. Control game.
Mm-hmm.
Shut out. Nobody hurt,
mm-hmm.
Things like that. So coaches go, you check all your boxes. And that's what you try to do, and you did. What you accomplished there, I think at one time in the first half, except for that one of the plays at the end, they only had 25 yards of total offense going in deep into the second quarter.
Right, yeah.
And I think they ended up with probably about 100-some-odd yards of total offense in the whole game, and a lot of that came on one play at the end of the first half.
Yeah, right.
If you remember it.
Yeah.
So
they kind of went into a hurry up and they got some plays on us. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Very true. Very, very true. All right. So it's a 41-0 win preseason game. That's week 0. Now the official start of the season is this week number 1. Eau Gallie and Vero Beach will travel into Brevard County. This is one of 4 trips to Brevard County for the season. And you've got the Eau Gallie Commodores. Last year, 10-2, district champs. They lost in the second round. Right now, they are currently ranked as the 14th best team in the state of Florida. So, not a shabby team to get started with, Gary.
Well, they're that's pretty good. I mean, I don't care. You really, Eau Gallie was one of those teams that you just say to yourself, wow, we didn't get to see them because we got beat in the second round also ourselves too by Treasure Coast.
Mm-hmm.
And after we beat Heritage in the opening round, then we played Treasure Coast and we got beat.
Right.
And but Eau Gallie to be preseason ranked number 14th, this tells you that they have a lot of kids coming back.
Mm-hmm.
They're loaded with some talent, and I'm looking forward to watching some film on them this week, and seeing what they present to us. And when they go out and they give you these preseason rankings, we were like what, 50th?
Yeah, number 50.
We're 50th
Mm-hmm.
now. Okay, we're 50th in the state.
Yep.
And they're 14th. All right, so there's something tells me
There's a pretty big gap.
there's a pretty big gap there, and they're not 14 because they're a Gallie.
Mm-hmm.
They're 14 because that's where they got a lot of talent coming back. They're loaded with some talent coming back.
Well, they played Mainland in their preseason exhibition. Lost to Mainland 11-3 this past Friday night. I watched a little bit of the film, and hard to tell, Gary. I mean, that's another one of those. Mainland's traditionally a pretty good team, and their defense was definitely giving the Eau Gallie offense a lot of problems. So that makes you think, okay, Coach Motto, what are we going to do? We're going to throw a lot of pressure at this quarterback. We're going to try to force a lot of errors. You would think so. I mean, that seems like a no-duh kind of thing, but, interesting to think about what kind of strategy Vero Beach will come up with going into this ballgame.
Well, Bill didn't want to show a lot in that first game, so you didn't see a lot of blitzes. You didn't see a lot of stunts. You didn't see a lot of disguised coverages. They just went out and played basic, as I call it, vanilla defense, just to not give away a lot what you plan on doing.
Mm-hmm.
And then sometimes some coaches like to show everything, and that makes you want to then spend all your time working on it. But in Coach Mata's theory, I really truly believe that he likes to keep things tight, close to the chest until he needs them.
Yeah.
And I think that Mainland is a good team. Mainland is really, really a good team up there in Daytona area. And what I got out of it when I saw the score and everything, I'm thinking, okay, how good is a Gallie? Or what did Gallie, maybe they had some injuries.
Yeah.
That they were holding some players back, that they didn't start certain players on offense.
Could be.
That they wanted to get healthy.
Yeah.
They may have some veterans that just banged up a little.
Mm-hmm.
And so I have to go back. That's why I said I'm interested in watching some film on them from last year and this year and see what I can see that I can analyze to see what they do well and what their strength is. And but an 11-3 in an exhibition game, I don't get excited about win or losing those games. Just like we beat we beat a team that was not the same team they were a year ago, not even close to the same team a year ago. We beat them 41-0. Does that tell us we're the best team in the state of Florida? No. Long way from it. And so them losing 11-3 to Mainland, does that make them the worst team? No, it just tells us that it was a very close game, and Mainland's a pretty good team. They were able to come away. We don't know. You got to see if there was drop passes, if there were penalties that hurt them. Or, you got to look at the stats. You got to analyze that.
Yeah, based off of what I saw, Gary, just watching the film a little bit yesterday, looked to me like Mainland was doing a very good job at the defensive line of getting through and putting a lot of pressure on the quarterback. So he knew he was never comfortable, and therefore he was rushing throws. Drop. There were some passes that were look good, and then they were just flat out dropped. So there was a little bit of everything. Didn't seem like they could ever get their run game going. I don't know how much they really tried because I didn't watch the entire game. But defensively speaking, now for Eau Gallie, they looked pretty good. Mainland put up 11 points on there, but I will tell you that, Eau Gallie's got some studs on defense, and that I think is going to be probably the decision or deciding factor. Can our offensive line keep that defense at bay and allow Mons time to throw? That's Paul. If I was going to give you an early
analysis of the game would be the challenge will be our offensive front five and their defensive front seven, how well they can compete and how well we can pick up their blitz and how well they can, if they stunt good. And our running backs got to be in tune with watching and remaking his reads and picking up the blitz also.
Yeah.
Quarterback's got to take, you only cover so many guys. You got to watch for the unaccounted blitz. That's your job as the quarterback. And how does a freshman react to that? You know what I mean? There's so much to be said. With all that being said, I still think Vero Beach is a very good team. I think they're a lot better than being 50th in the state of Florida. But you know how you move up? You win.
That's right.
You win.
That's right.
And then it shows that there's not disrespect for Vero, but with what Vero lost and what Vero's coming back, I guess they're thinking offensively, a freshman quarterback.
Well, yeah. I mean, I don't necessarily fault Max Preps for putting us at 50, given the fact that, you weren't really 100% sure who was going to be at quarterback, who was going to be your star players on offense. Those were big question marks.
Absolutely, 100%.
I'm not even sure we've fully answered those questions yet.
You just took words right out of my mouth, and I said I don't even know yet who's going to be the stars on offense.
Right. So time will tell, and it gets started this week with our first game of the regular season on the road, Brevard County to take on Eau Gallie, the Commodores. It's going to be fun, GP.
It's going to be exciting. I'm looking forward to it. I love the challenge. And it sets up for the next couple weeks after that, too.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, we'll come home for a couple of ball games that are some big-time opponents as well. So we'll talk about that when we get past this first game with Eau Gallie.
Exactly right.
All right, folks. That's going to do it for this episode of Inside the Press Box. Hey, just a reminder again, if you're at YouTube, do a couple things. So subscribe to the channel, but also join the membership so that if you want to watch the games after the live events, you'll be a part of the membership and you can watch those games whenever you like. All right, that's going to do it for us this week. We'll catch up with you, and as always, go Indians.
Thanks for joining us inside the Press Box. For more, go to ChristianFM.com.